Hey, and welcome back. This video is going to be about the maiden flight of the NexStar aircraft, and the next video you're going to see is about the second flight. The first flight, I didn't have anybody at the field that could operate the camera for me, and so I didn't get any film of the first flight, but the first flight was very short, and I'll explain why. I do have film on the second flight, and you'll see that in the next video. So the problem was several. The airplane needed a lot of nose up. One. Two, it needed a lot of aileron, as I explained it probably would have anyways, because of the two sides of the elevator were a little off. Okay. So a lot of nose up, bit of aileron, but then I also discovered, after I got it hands off with aileron and elevator trimmed up, that there was a significant crab. Yesterday, this was flown yesterday afternoon. Zero wind above the treetops, just no wind at all, and there was a significant crab of the aircraft because the rudder was off. Even though the rudder was neutral, it needed, I didn't count the number of clicks, but it was like, I don't know, a dozen clicks to get the rudder right. And when you do that, you do two or three clicks of rudder, then immediately get back to wings level with the ailerons, because it's going to start turning if you don't. And so you do a couple of clicks of rudder, do a couple of clicks of aileron, get it neutral, repeat that process. I probably repeated it 5 or 6 times. So then when the rudder was where it needed to be, so the airplane wasn't crabbing, good straight flight on the airplane. Readjusted the elevator a couple of times to make sure it was a good hands off. So I got good hands off, but also what I noted was during takeoff and landings, I probably did 4 takeoff and landings on the first flight. It would, if you pulled it up too high, it was hard to push it back down, and that's an indication of the CG being slightly off. When I did the CG, you saw it in the video, and although it was within the range of the CG and it was about level, it had a slight nose up, or tail heavy, however you want to describe it. So before I went flying the second time, we flew the second flight this morning. You'll get to see that in the next video. I readjusted the CG, put it on the CG machine, got it balanced, and decided that I would put some nose weight on the aircraft. And there you can see the nose weight. It's 4 pieces of the lead weights, and you can see right there's a screw holding it on. So not only is the sticky holding it, I don't trust just sticky to hold those things on. I screw them in. 1 screw is usually enough. So 4 pieces of weight on the bottom here. I didn't want to put it out here where the engine is. I prefer it here. If it was further out here, it'd be less weight, but that's okay. Weight's not a problem for this airplane. It's already 7 pounds and something. I'll get the exact measurements later. But the engine is very powerful, not a problem for weight. So 4 lead weights. You can see it's just right here where the cabin starts going up, and it seemed to be a good place to put the weight. So the lead weight was added, and I readjusted I checked the CG extremely carefully. Did it upside down just for grins to see if it worked. It worked fine. And so I'll call it slightly nose heavy, okay? In other words, this sitting on the stand here is slightly nose up, okay? So I had it probably at that angle where the nose was just down a little bit, maybe just that much, okay? And you can also look at what I like to measure, and I took a level, I have a short little level for this. I put a level on the bottom flat part of the wing while it's on there, and you can just see, you know, where the bubble is on that. And it was just so slightly nose heavy, just exactly what I wanted. And so I'll describe, and you'll show in the next video, the second flight. When the airplane first took off, it was a handful, in the sense that even an experienced pilot like myself, I had to sort of force the nose over because of the tail heaviness. None of the trims were right, so you're sitting there holding. You can't, you know, and trim, you don't want to trim it close to the ground, so you got to get it up in the air and as best you can, get it high enough, then get it trimmed hands neutral. Then I went through the retrimming process to get the crab out, get the rudder where it should be so it's flying true, straight ahead, and then hands off, straight and level. And so that takes a bit of practice. If you're new to the hobby, find a good instructor to do your maiden flights for you. Once you get the first maiden flight done, everything's close. Even a fairly new but qualified pilot can fly this airplane. It flies extremely nicely. I was also very pleased with this engine, the OS engine. Just started right up, not a problem. I started at about 1.5, maybe close to 1 3/4, maybe I guess it was like 1 3/4 turn on the needle, and it's right now sitting about let's see, yeah, it's about 1.5 right now. So that'll always vary from engine to engine, but you need to start anything over 2. So it's at 1.5 right now, and running just fine. Still running a little rich. I'm going to let it run rich for a while. Probably it'll get down to 1 and maybe close to 1 1/4. I'll say 1 1/4 is about where it'll end up after it's broken in. To me, an engine break-in is at least 5 hours on the engine, and this one's had, well, let's see, 4, 5, 10-minute flights now. So it's had less than an hour. So I did do 2 clicks leaner today. Still sounded okay. And I'll show you in subsequent videos how I test for whether that's a good mixture on the needle valve. So that'll be a subsequent video as well. So that's the maiden flight. Stay tuned for the next video, which is the second flight, which has some actual footage on it. And I'll be right back. Thank you.